Hey guys, it's Charlie. It's the 9th of June, Wednesday. And I want to put out a video about some economic data, but I want to answer a few questions first. As you probably know now, Jeff Rentz has been linking some of my videos to his website, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. And I've picked up a lot of subscribers since then, and a lot more views on the videos. But there's some questions coming out, and I want to answer a few of them. Most of you who are watching this have been longtime subscribers, and you know my political stance, which is I don't think there's a difference between the left and the right, or the Democrats or Republicans. I think they all work for the same beast in the oligarch system that controls the Federal Reserve and basically markets around the world and nations around the world. We're seeing the dissolve of sovereign borders and austerity measures that are being put in place not to save the nations, but to save the banks that have enslaved these nations in debt. So I received a few comments on the last video about, where was I during Bush, blah, 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 and I'm not even going to respond to them other than, if you're new and you think I'm bashing the left or the Democrats or Obama, watch some of my videos. I have no allegiance to the Republicans or the Democrats or the independents. I have allegiance to basic common sense and to your sovereignty as a person and our sovereignty as a nation. So I want to get that out there. Also, I've had a lot of requests on, do a preparation video. What do you do? What are you doing to prepare? And that's not really what I do on this channel. I've never showed, food storage or guns or ammo or gold or silver or anything like that. I just don't get into that. There's a lot of good people on YouTube making those kind of videos. And, check the channels I subscribe to because they do a way better job of it than I could have. My stance from when I started making videos is the first thing you got to get prepared is your mind that the information you're being fed is a pack of lies for the most part. And the reason you're being fed this information is because a looting is going on. It's like somebody broke into your house, and they're stealing everything you own, and they're explaining to you why they're doing it and why it's for your own good, and you're supposed to sit there and say, yes, this makes sense, you should rob me blind. And so my whole channel is about being mentally prepared for what is going on now and what's coming in the future. And I think that is the major battle that has to be won in order to, not only prosper but survive in an economic meltdown, which has already occurred. In 2008, the credit system froze completely. The government did what they thought they could do to rescue it in the form of saving the bankers who got us into this mess, and they've managed to paper it over. But the same people that told us, the Salentes and the Schiffs, that told us we were going into this crisis and that told us what was going to happen, are now saying we're about to see the real crisis, the real breakdown. It's going to be a currency breakdown, and it will be a total, absolute wipeout of economies around the world. But you see, the whole goal wasn't to prevent the meltdown. The whole goal was to make the bankers, Wall Street, London, the Federal Reserve, central banks around the world, to make them whole and complete before the truth be let out of the bag. Before you're told, hey, we're in a worldwide depression, we want to make sure the elite are taken care of. They're made whole and complete, they're set, and their problems that they've created themselves have been flung onto the peoples of the world, so now we can let it come apart, and indeed, that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing this run-up, and if you look at a chart of the Dow, it's identical to what happened between 29 and into the 30s. We're seeing the exact same thing now. Why should it be any different? The difference is going to be that in this time, at the present time, the conditions are far, far worse than they were in the Great Depression. There was no such thing as a quadrillion-dollar derivative landmine waiting for us to step on in the 1930s. The money was still backed by gold and silver in the 1930s. Nobody had a credit card back then. Half the people in the nation, more than half, didn't even have a mortgage. They rented. So when they lost their job, they didn't have thousands and thousands, and like the American people who have hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt piled on each family. They didn't have that problem, but now we do. But the people who linked this money, the people who created these derivatives, the people who built the landmine are now completely taken care of. They're whole and happy and complete. And to drive that point home, I'm going to attach a story here. The headline is, Bernanke says he expects AIG to repay TARP. So, we're seeing it across the board. We're seeing these companies like AIG who end up needing $23 billion to be saved from going bankrupt, paying this $10 billion of it back, $13 billion they kept through backdoor AIG, paying the money back because they're whole and complete. The government has stabilized the markets for the last year and a half. They've managed to make money through high-frequency trading and be wildly successful. And we're seeing all the too big to fails happy and healthy. Now it's time for the piper to be paid, as it were. And we are paying the piper. That debt that they had now sits with the Treasury, or now sits with the Federal Reserve. And believe you me, if you think that they're just going to do the right thing, which is forgive this debt, to have some kind of worldwide jubilee, you got another thing coming. We already see it happening. Austerity, the key words, austerity. Riots in Greece, Spain, riots in Ireland. Now we're seeing Hungary. I mean, it's just spreading. Yet people would have you believe in the mainstream media that this is all just a simple panic in a bull run. I'll attach another story by Chris DeMoss, and it goes something, the headline is Euro panic, almost over, now's the time to buy cheap. He wrote this article on Friday, basically stating that this is just a panic in a bull run, and come Monday morning, everything's going to be better, the euro's going to start to shoot up, and now's the time to get in there and buy. Well, if you read down the story, you see he has a vested interest in the markets turning around. He's holding a lot of commodity stocks, and he even admits that a lot of it's like Canadian lumber stock. That's the business I'm in, so I understand that why he wants the markets to return, because the building material industry, the commodity industry, is plummeting right now. I mean, it's dropping unbelievable amounts at the time of year when it should be shooting upward. So the crash is happening. It is coming. You're going to have Bernanke coming out on days, giving a talk that things are better, creating a little bit of bliss in the markets, and you'll see a 100-point rise. But those days are even fewer and farther between, and when he does speak, it has less effect for a less period of time, evident today when we were up 100 points and we still managed to close down in negative territory. So basically, I just wanted to put a video out explaining my position on politics, I guess, or on the left-right, and then welcome everybody who has recently subscribed. So I'll attach these stories, but for now, that's all I got.